All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Connecting the Commonwealth. We've got a couple really awesome guests with us today. We've got Haile, is that how you say it?
Yes.
Haile and Jerusalem. And they're here. They have a franchise, Office Pride. And so we're going to be talking to them today. You're going to get to know their story, get to know about why they decided to start a franchise, why they started an Office Pride franchise, and all that stuff. Throughout the podcast, you'll see contact information kind of scrolling along the bottom. So if you're listening to them and you're like, man, I'd really like to sit down and have coffee, or shoot, like COVID's going on, I could really use my commercial space cleaned, then I'll make sure throughout the episode there's several times when they're talking where you guys can get their phone number, email, name of their business, and that kind of stuff. So feel free to give them a shout. They're wonderful people. They're good networkers, and I'm confident that you would just, if you did it, you just meet another awesome person here in Louisville. Always working it out. We're all adapting during 2020. And, of course, our information is always along the bottom. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, or you know someone that would like to be a guest, or you're like, wow, these advisors don't seem too scary, maybe they'd be okay to come talk to, we'd love to have you as a guest on the podcast, or, we can help you out as a family as well. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, ladies. Who wants to go first? Who wants to be the first share a little bit?
I can go first.
Okay. All right. So, Jerusalem, give us a little bit about your background, your family, what it was like growing up as a kid. Do you have brothers and sisters? What did your parents do? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yes, I actually am the oldest of four. My parents, I came here when I was 9. I should start with that. I'm from Ethiopia, and we came here when I was 9. And then my mom and my dad actually came here before us. He came here first. He went to school. My dad is huge on education, so he went to school first, and then we joined him when I was 9 here. And after that, I have 2 sisters and a brother. So I grew up in a household where I'm the oldest, and sometimes I was the sister, sometimes I was the mom. So I think that was, being the oldest, I think that's the thing with the first child is we have the responsibility. But, yep, I have 4 siblings. Yeah,
so you were from Ethiopia, you said,
yes.
Right? Now, when did you come over to the United States?
When I was 9.
9 years old.
Yep.
Okay.
So here, yep.
So what was that change like?
It was a lot.
Yeah.
When I first came here, I didn't know how to speak English at all. The food is completely different. So they put me to school. I was in 4th grade. We first moved to Nashville. I lived in Nashville for a year before I moved back to Louisville, and I stayed here ever since. But it was in Nashville. I was in 4th grade. I remember every day I would go to school, and about lunchtime, it's like that was enough for me. So I would cry and I would pretend like I was sick. No. My mom would come and pick me up and take me home, and they never understood why. And I just told her it's just I couldn't speak to anybody the whole day. I didn't know how to speak English, and then the food got me sick because it's a change. Even the water is different, So it took me time. I think after a year, I kind of got over the whole culture shock and finally able to communicate with other people. So yeah, it was tough, but I think I adjusted. I was 9, so I think as a kid it's easier compared to being grown and coming here. So
yeah, now were all your siblings already born?
No, they were born here.
They were born. So
yeah,
you were
I was the only one when I first came. Yeah, I was home alone. Well, my mom and I kind of struggled. My dad was here before us. He lived here 6 years before we came. Yeah.
So what brought him over here?
School. He wanted to better educate, life was tough there, so he wanted to come here and go to school and have a better life for his family, and that was his goal. So as soon as he graduated, all the paperwork was done, and we came, my mom and I.
Awesome. Now, what was he doing for work after he finished school?
Yes, he graduated with electrical engineer. So engineering, and he's an engineer right now, and he's still working.
Yeah, it's a great field.
Yeah, he loves it.
Does he actually do electrical engineering, or is it okay? Because I know a lot of people. My wife's brother he went for chemical engineering, and he fixes machinery.
Yeah.
So he has a territory, and like all the automated machinery stuff. When it goes wrong, he goes out and goes and sets it up and everything like that.
It's kind of something like that. He works for a phone company, and he loves it. He really pushed engineering down my throat. He tried at least, but yeah, he loves it.
Yeah. Okay. So you were the only child when you came over.
Yes.
So that's different. And so what was it like? So how old were you when you had your first sibling?
10 and a half, like right away. My
Pretty
mom,
much.
Yeah, right away. They wanted a family, so right away. My mom, about a year and a half later, my sister was born.
Yeah. So what was the transition like when you went from school, let's kind of when you finished high school, what was it like when you transitioned out from the at least the secondary education?
Yeah. My dad is huge in college education, so I knew there was no other options besides going to college. So after high school, I applied to different places, and I got accepted to UK and U of L, and I got a scholarship at UK, so that was the better choice, of course. So I just I knew what I wanted to do, but of course, your parents pressure you. He wanted me to go down his path and study engineering. But I found myself, I knew I wanted to be, I said I wanted to be a pediatrician. I wanted to be a doctor. So whenever I went to UK, I studied biology, pre-med. And after the first year of college, my parents were like, even though Lexington is an hour and a half away, they said it was too far, so you need to come back to U of L. So I came back to U of L and I transferred because my mom couldn't do the distance. But it was good. Like, my dad has always been my support, honestly. Like, if I had homework, even in high school, actually, all of my teachers, they had his number. So right after school was done, he'll call them and say, what did they study today? And as soon as I came home, he'll go over everything my teachers taught me again at home. So he's always been my support. So even when I went to college, I had him. When I came back to U of L, if I had any questions, he was kind of like my tutor. So it was nice having him around.
No, that's awesome. I mean, anybody that has awesome parents is very fortunate. Yeah. And, putting an emphasis on education, obviously, I'm sure that played a role because that's what, made a difference for him and have an opportunity in that. So did you, I know that you're not a doctor, obviously. We're sitting here talking about not doing that. So what was the transition after you finished your undergraduate? What did that kind of look like?
Yeah, so I was in school, and I had about a semester left, and I was getting ready to start studying for the MCATs and everything, and that's when I started a family. I got married, and soon after I got pregnant with my firstborn, and I kind of left school at a pause. Of course, my parents were not happy about that, but it was on a pause, and I started my life. I started working at Humana, and I just started, the normal life, and then it's kind of a funny story to how it led up, but yeah, it's just, I started a family, and I think that's what paused the whole being a doctor dream.
Yeah, no, my wife did, she did pre-med, and then took her MCAT, got into med school after all that work, and then she said, well, shoot, I'm going to be, in my 30s before I kind of come out the other side and can start a family. Really, it'd be really difficult, and she's one of those people that's like, just takes everything to the max. Yeah. So she knew she couldn't just go to med school and partially be in it. Yeah. She'd want to, try to be a radiologist, right, which is the most competitive and all that. And we just kind of made a decision as a couple that she felt like we could, our life, it was really a lifestyle choice for her. But she was kind of like you. She knew, I want to start a family, I want to get married, I want to do this, and I want to be able to do those things in my 20s. Yeah. Right? And so, totally get that. Yeah. All right, so we're switching gears. Yeah. Holly, we're putting you on the spot. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing, your family, that kind of stuff, and let the viewers get to know you a little bit.
Yeah. Mine is a little different because I'm the last born of 7 kids. So my dad had 7 kids. He loved kids, and I'm the last born, and I had, I guess, 7 parents because all my 3 brothers are my dads, and all my 3 sisters acted like my mother. So I grew up in that kind of family, and everybody looked everything that I did and all my schoolwork and everything like that. And I came here 12 years ago. My mom moved here first, and she was living here because I'm actually from Eritrea, and then Eritrea and Ethiopia had this, fight. So we were in a war zone, and we couldn't live there anymore. So I had to flee away, and my mom came here first, and then she brought me here. So I've been here for about 12 years now. I went straight to college when I got here, to community college, and I finished my arts and science associate degree, and then I've always liked studying, computers. Like played around with it and everything. So when I I transferred to Yeovil to finish my grad school for computer engineering, and yeah. And I changed gear, like my friend here. I have a year left. I do plan to go back just so I can finish what I've started, but I still like my business at the same time.
Hey, life is rarely just stays on the rails and goes exactly, you're like, next stop, me completing this. There's always something. It's not as simple as going train station to train station, right?
No.
So, I got to circle back. So you were in Eritrea?
Mm-hmm.
How do you say it?
Eritrea. You said it right.
All right.
Yep.
I always second guess myself, So what was that like? I mean, what was the process to get out of there? I mean, it can't be that if it's a war zone, right? Like, it's not like, hold on, I'm going to go book a flight.
Yeah. I'm one of the lucky ones because my dad had his own business and we were not a struggling family in general. And so he had money to pay for me to come out of there. Not a lot of people had that choice, but there were United Nations were there because, they're trying to keep the peace and everything. So we paid one of them. He paid one of them, and I don't know anything about that. I was young when I came out, but yeah, and I just traveled to Ethiopia and then here, Kenya, and then here. So it was a long way, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy stories.
Yeah, I mean, we moved to Kentucky in 7th grade from Georgia. That was about the most adventurous. And it was in 1996, I think it was, when the big flood happened with the river, and we couldn't build for a while. And western rural Kentucky wasn't known for its condo and apartment developments. Mm. So we finding a place for I was a family of 5 was a little different, but certainly not escaping a war zone, getting to another country to get out. But it's good that you were able to do that.
Yes, I remember I was in a truck. They put me in a truck, and I couldn't breathe. We drove for about 12 hours to get out of the war zone, but yeah.
So how big is Eritrea? Like, is it pretty big geographically, or is Ethiopia
not really? Ethiopia is really big, but Eritrea is like as big as Kentucky, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's small.
Yeah, I don't know much about the size of these countries. I was a distance runner growing up, and all I know is Kenya and Ethiopia produces a ton. I mean, when I got to college, it was just like all these Kenyans and Ethiopians just stomping everybody at the college level, and there were a few kids that came over in high school that family sponsored, and they came and ran track and all that. So I at least know you guys have good endurance. You must have something going on over there for that.
My husband actually ran for college and stuff at Spalding and stuff. So
oh, really?
I think it's in the blood. I don't know.
It is in the blood.
I don't know. I just know there seemed to be more natural talent. That's all. That's all I know. We had a Kenyan on the track team at U of L, and he was he would just kind of naturally be faster than us. But he worked really hard. He actually ended up winning the Boston Marathon. Oh. And I think he's like a congressman in Kenya now. Really good guy. Hard work. It's kind of like everything. You can have all the talent, but he also worked really hard too. So really cool. Wow, 12 hours in a truck. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How old were you when you made that? I know it was 12 years ago, but how old were you?
I was 19.
19.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's very interesting. And so then you went, and now I know you're taking a break. You started the business, but you're working on your master's in computer engineering, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Cool.
Yep.
So you guys are both well-educated, well-polished individuals, families, place an emphasis on education and all that. So when we know that neither one of you are Jerusalem's not a doctor, and Haile, you're not an engineer fixing computers. So talk to me, and you guys share as you see fit between the two of you. What was the transition like getting into the workplace? I know Jerusalem, you started a family and that. Well, how did it come together that you guys would go into business together, right? So, and where in that did it become that maybe becoming a franchisee was a good way to do it? So talk to me about, did the opportunity come first, or did you decide you were going to start a business and then a franchise became a good option? Talk to me about that process for the two of you.
I think we've been close for a very long time. Ever since she came here, actually 12 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've known each other for 12 years, and we've lived together. Our college days, we lived together and worked as a servers to survive together. And then when she got married, I was her maid of honor, vice versa. So it was just, we've been more than friends. It's just been like family. So I think as we got back to the workforce and school was at a pause for a moment, we were both working. I was working at Humana, and she kind of also started at Humana at some point too. And we were both raising our families, and we would be together all the time. We would do Bible study. We'll go to church together. And at some point, we created, it was just a couple families, just like us, that we both have 2 kids, and then the other people had kids as well. So we would get together once or twice a week,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time twice a week together, and just pray and just kind of like fellowship.
Yeah.
And in the midst of that, I think we all knew in our hearts that life is more than just working, coming home, working, like we all have a greater calling. And I think sometimes we kind of lose that when we're focused on just providing for the family. So we sat down and just been praying, saying, okay, what can we do? What can we do where we are providing for our family, but at the same time freeing up our time? Because I knew that all of us have different things in our hearts. Her husband is a pastor.
The pastor, yeah.
And my husband is not, but we knew that we wanted to focus on what God called us to do. Like we didn't want at the end of this life, when we are asked, what do we have? We provided for our family was not the answer we wanted. We wanted to do more. So we got together, we prayed. So as we were praying, we had came up with the idea of, okay, what about starting a business together? And if we start a business that can financially, that will cover that. And then if it's your own business, that will free up time at some point, to where we can focus on everything else that we wanted to do. So in the midst of that, we did different researches. We looked at different franchises. We looked at different business opportunities. And then it was just by chance that, that we met David Burks, which he is our area developer. Somebody had introduced me. It was a friend of mine who worked for a cleaning company. And I asked her, hey, can you give me his number? I want to ask him more about commercial cleaning, and things like that. So I asked him, he gave me more information. He said, but you can own your own commercial cleaning, but I want to introduce you to David Burks. It's Office Pride. Just talk to him, and here's his number. So he gave me his number, and we sat down. We called David Burks right away. We sat down with him, and then he kind of started telling us about Office Pride.
Nice guy.
Yeah. And he started telling us about Office Pride, and it just kind of really hit our spot. Because whenever we were praying, one of our plan was not just, okay, yes, we're going to be successful, but more than that, we want to honor God in everything we do. Like, I think life is not about honoring God on Sundays, but you can honor God in everything. Your workplace, being a mom, as a wife, and everything you do, you can honor God. So that was our prayer. So whenever we spoke with David Burks, the first thing that the value, I don't know if you can see on our business card, the first thing it says is honor God. And we looked at each other. As soon as he said that, we're like, wait a minute. And then we started, he gave us a book about the culture of the company and everything, and we started researching about Office Pride, and just the whole culture of the company just kind of resonated with us, and that was exactly what we were looking for, and that's what we wanted to establish in everything we did in our life. So I think that's how that led up to Office Pride. But if you want to add anything.
I remember we went to Tampa to meet the CEO, and he started the meeting.
Is it Todd Hopkins?
Yes.
Yeah.
He started the meeting with a prayer, and it's our workplace, and we just loved the fact that we could do that at our jobs and honor God the way, God wants us to. So,
that's awesome. I mean, I know, faith's a big part of our business too. And, I know Todd only because I'm involved in a group called Christian Business Men's Connection and we have a young professionals, entrepreneurs group that gets together, and they'll be here at our office tonight, and I have, we're raising money for this Cooperage thing, and the owner's coming in town for some stuff. He lives in Minneapolis. Nothing going on in Minneapolis, much like nothing going on in Louisville these days, right? And he was like, "What are you doing for dinner?" I was like, well, we got all these young guys. It's a faith in the marketplace thing. You want to come have a meal with us? And he was like, yeah, so, totally love that faith was such a big part of putting that together.
Yes.
And, David's off camera. You guys can't see him, but David's here. And that is I can see how if that was something you guys were actively thinking about, how meeting David would confirm that. And especially if you got to go to Tampa and meet Todd and everything, that's really neat.
Yeah.
Really neat. Because you never know. I think it's interesting how you end up in different businesses, right? You've got somebody that's pre-med, somebody that's computer engineering, and you're like, hey, we need to start something. There's more to life than just, owning some things and making some money, right? What's going to bring purpose and that to our life? And, lo and behold, a commercial cleaning business turns out to be a really great fit for you all. So they're really awesome. So talk to me about getting into, tell us a little bit about Office Pride and, functionally, right? We know it was a good fit for you all, culturally with who you are and like faith being a big part of your family. But how did that come together? Business-wise, the deal, kind of getting all that stuff organized, because I know a little bit about the background of how that happened. Really cool story. So, talk to us a little bit about that.
I think one of the biggest thing, like you said, besides the cultural thing, it's even though we were freshly new, we had so much support behind us. Office Pride has been around for 25 years. So we knew that we had 25 years of experience behind us, even though we're freshly, and also not only that, but we have area developer David Burks, like you said, and he guided us through. We had no background on business, but knowing that you had a support right there, knowing that if I had questions about even like the simplest questions about LLC or anything like that, which I never knew, I never studied business, like the support is, I think, what really helps. And it could be anything, like we're used to cleaning offices or, but if we get something like a hospital or anything like that, we have 25 years of experience that somebody has done it, and that person is willing to help us, so having the support and not only feeling like we don't know what we're doing helps. So I think that's what really helped us, is having an area developer who's always there to help us grow, help us achieve what we want to achieve, as well as if we have any questions about any account, we have like franchise owners all over the nation that is always, it's a family, like the whole Office Pride, even though it's different franchises, it's a family, and you can always call up anybody, and everybody's willing to help. So that really helped us, I think.
Yeah, everybody's helping the brand.
Yeah.
The brand name is very. I guess everybody takes it to heart, and we just cherish it. So everybody, helps each other. I like that too.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the power behind, franchise organizations is, Jerusalem, you pointed it out, is the experience when personally you don't have commercial cleaning experience, but you're obviously ready to be a business owner, and you get all that value behind you, right out the gate. And of course with David, mentoring you, someone that's been involved with Office Pride for a long time, and just has a lot of experience with how it works and can kind of help you navigate that. A lot of people that help develop the people coming in and being franchisees, they don't provide all the support like David does, right? So that's pretty neat. He's a great guy.
He is.
Yeah. He's blushing over in the corner right now. So cool. So talk to me a little bit about being a business owner during 2020.
Yeah.
Because you all started this franchise, early 2019, something like that?
Late
2019. Okay.
November.
November 2019. So all smooth sailing, nothing to see here, right? For about 6 months in, right, and then crazy. So talk to me about becoming a business owner and then experiencing being a business owner in 2020, right? It affects every business differently, but kind of share with the viewers like what it's been like for you all in the first. We're coming up on 12 months, right? So what's it been like?
It has been interesting because the first 6 months, like you said, it was blooming. We were growing really fast, and everything is, was going great. And then, COVID hit, and I think what I loved about Office Pride and when COVID hit, nobody knew what this was or how to handle everything, but they were studying how we can maneuver and how we can grow our business during this time, and they were just giving us enough education, how to do things, and how to be safe for our employees, how to be grow even in this time, and give services to our clients, because cleaning just got essential during this time, so I feel like the training and the support that we got during this COVID-19 is incredible. Like, it says a lot about Office Pride. Yeah.
So what was it like finding a customer pre-COVID, right? And then finding, customers probably finding you all, after people kind of realize what it is, right? Because there was that lag where everything just shut down, right? Businesses were closed, and then they start realizing this is going to go on for a while. So I think it was originally 15 days, and we're a little past that 15 days at this point. So what was the difference between, earning customers before and earning customers after?
I think at the beginning, what we used to do is you can knock on doors and say, hey, this is Office Pride. It's okay to go to the customers and kind of introduce yourself. And that's what we were doing at first. And then, of course, now you just can't walk into any building. Visitors are not allowed and things like that. So that was different in that sense of how we were targeting our customers had to definitely change. But like you said, now people pay attention to cleaning now. Like before it's like, okay, yeah, we have a cleaner that comes in. But now it's like, okay, are they disinfecting? Are they cleaning? So now the customers are definitely, like you said, reaching out now, definitely trying to make sure that not only do they have somebody cleaning, but also disinfecting their building. So that, I think right now, the situation might be sad, but I think for our business in general, it is important, it's important. So that helped, being optimistic in the situation. But I think for us, it's definitely
being available, I guess, to our customers,
Yeah, I know it seems like this year in particular, being able to have a positive mindset and an outward mindset has meant more now than ever. And, faith plays a part in that, right? Like that's, as a Christian, like that's how you're supposed to orient, is to maintain focus on people outside of yourself and businesses outside of your business. And, when going gets tough, that's usually when you don't have a bedrock, or you don't have something that's guiding you that direction, or you don't have mentors or people you network with that help you. And I've never been more grateful this year than to have like a network of people that I know, love, and trust, that I see on a regular basis, that keep me grounded, keep our business grounded, right? And it sounds like you all have that too. Both went from Office Pride as a franchisor, David Burks as kind of a mentor and a spirit guide, or whatever. And David pointed out a little bit ago too, I have this bad habit of calling people by their last name, so I started calling you Haile, somewhere along that.
It's
and
okay.
He wrote a little note, was like, her name's Helen. And like I had to ask somebody a few weeks ago that I was like, hey, I just started calling you this. Like, I never asked your permission. And they're like, it's fine. It's been since I was in college before someone called me by my last name. So sorry about that, Helen.
It's okay.
That's my bad. And but at any rate, so it's good. It sounds like that you guys have been advantageous in the marketplace. You were fortunate enough to kind of start a franchise business that would be incredibly relevant during 2020. And, I know our building does kind of the same thing. Is like, there's somebody that cleans every day. That's always been there. But once a week, they come through on the weekend and do a complete disinfecting the entire space. So that's really good. So let's assume that at some point things return to some new normal or different normal or whatever normal is. So let's assume, like, talk to me a little bit about where you guys see life going. Could be personal, could be professional. What does the next, 2 to 5 years look like for you guys?
I have, we both do, but we have 2 little ones. So I have a 3-year-old and a 2. So they keep my hands full. But I think for me, in 2 to 5 years, like, I'm hoping that I can grow my family as well. And I don't know what.
In the process of doing it. So 2.5.
But I think also it goes back to what our original plan was, is just being involved in the community, because there's so much work that needs to be done, honestly. And just being involved, because there is the Ethiopian and Eritrean group here in Louisville is really huge, that are refugees that are coming in. There's a lot of things that I know that I personally want to do, just giving back to the community. And I'm hoping that, like we said, like it's, our hands are tied right now. We're constantly on the move, but I hope that I can just kind of marinate and then just focus on giving back as well. And I want my kids to watch that growing up. Honestly, I grew up, my parents only giving back to the community, and they're really was big on that, and just and I hope my kids grow up seeing me doing that, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I'm sure your dad will be happy, because, you know, if education's important, I'm sure you're going to pass that on, you know, and also like teaching your kids entrepreneurial kind of spirit and the willingness to get out there and seeing all that is going to be great for them. And, you know, I hope I say the same thing for my kids. You know, they're going to ultimately live life and do what they want to do, much like your dad was like, oh, she's going to definitely be a doctor. And then like, nope, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. So, you know, I think it's really cool. You know, so you're 2.5, right? So you're already working on building your family, Helen.
Yes, in the process of, I'm at 30, right now it's at 32 weeks, so I'm almost there to give the third, and I'm very excited.
Yeah.
It's a girl, actually, so.
Yeah, well, I've got 3, so they get so much easier with the third. Oh my
does
God.
it?
So
Say, but I don't know if I believe it.
it's a lie. All right, like we had a good mixture of, some people were like, oh, it's gonna, you know, you've already got 2. What does it matter? And some people were like, the third. You know, and I remember my wife was pregnant with her second. And she was like, is this the last time I'm going to be 3 months pregnant? Is this the last time I'm like, this is so much pressure. Let's just figure out if we can take care of 2.
Yeah.
And she's like, I want to have a third. What do you think? And I was like, 2's great.
Yeah.
And I kept saying 2's great. I'm like, eventually, like, it's time to change my answer. It doesn't really matter what I think, if we're being honest. And so, but it is really cool. Like the third, I'm so glad we had McKenna. And she's so sweet and everything. But it makes you think like, wow, and why would we not have more babies? But then you're like, because you have to take care of them. You have to raise them. They're expensive. They're a lot of work, and like to give them attention that they deserve, right, and raise them.
Exactly.
So really cool. Well, I'm excited for you guys. You know, it's been really fun, you know, learning about you all and your story and your business. And, you know, I think it's going to be great to see what you all do in the future. And I know you'll raise tremendous kids. And you're right, the refugee community in Louisville is pretty strong. I mean, if people aren't aware of that, you know, there's a lot of different nationalities here in town, and that's really awesome that you guys are thinking about giving back. I know that's something that Office Pride would love for you all to do, because that fits with, you know, who they are and their story. So it'll be fantastic. And again, those of you that haven't already, like, sent them an email, the contact information is going to be here at the end. If you don't like them, I don't know what's wrong with you. You should definitely talk to them. You know that something is not clean enough in your house or your business. So definitely reach out to Jerusalem and Helen, her first name, and give them a shout. You know, we appreciate you tuning in. You know, again, all the podcast episodes are released every Thursday, midday. And, you know, if you like what you're hearing, please like, subscribe, rate, and review, and tell people about the podcast. You know, and if you've got people that you think would be good on here, please introduce them to us. We'd love to bring them in, just like Helen and Jerusalem, and get to know their story and, you know, promote their business, because good business deserves to be promoted in our city, and it's nice to have great people that do a good job.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Yeah.
The information given herein is taken from sources at IFP Advisors, LLC, doing business as Independent Financial Partners, IFP, IFP Securities, doing business as IFP, and its advisors believed to be reliable, but it is not guaranteed by us as to accuracy or completeness. This is for informational purposes only, and in no event should be construed as an offer to sell or solicitation of an offer to buy any securities or products. Please consult your tax and/or legal advisor before implementing any tax and/or legal-related strategies mentioned in this publication, as IFP does not provide tax and/or legal advice. Opinions expressed are subject to change without notice and do not take into account the particular investment objectives, financial situation, or needs of individual investors. This report may not be reproduced, distributed, or published by any person for any purpose without IFP's express prior written consent. Securities offered through IFP Securities, LLC, doing business as Independent Financial Partners, IFP, member of FINRA and SIPC. Investment advice offered through IFP Advisors, doing business as IFP, a registered investment advisor. IFP and Family Wealth Planning Partners are not affiliated. The information given herein is taken from sources that IFP Advisors, LLC, doing business as IFP, IFP Securities, LLC, doing business as IFP, and its advisors believe to be reliable, but it is not guaranteed by us as to accuracy or completeness. This is for informational purposes only, and in no event should be construed as an offer to sell or solicitation of an offer to buy any securities or products. Please consult your tax and/or legal advisor before implementing any tax and/or legal related strategies mentioned in this publication, as IFP does not provide tax and/or legal advice. Opinions expressed are subject to change without notice and do not take into account the particular investment objectives, financial situation, or needs of individual investors.